Evening, everyone. My name is Raul Melendez, and welcome back. This is week two under History and Theory of Public Administration. For this presentation, I'll be presenting to you four articles that form public administration. The overview of this presentation will consist of Wilson's Woodrow, The Study of Administration, 1887, Frederick Winslow Taylor, Scientific Management, 1912, Max Weber, Concepts of Bureaucracy, 1922, and Mary Parker Follett, The Giving of Orders, 1926. One of the articles that I find interesting is Wilson Woodrow's dichotomy theory. This is the concept of how policy needs to be done in a political environment by elected policymakers, elected representatives, whereas the implementation of policy is created in a non-political environment by administrators, policy administrators, or public administrators. To me, this concept, this idea, is relatively new. I tend to kind of focus more on just being the worker and following the rules, but as I've gained more interest in becoming a servant leader in the near future. These concepts are really just become an eye opener for me. So this notion of government has having two distinct sides is relatively a new concept just by seeing it through a different lens. In our course textbook, Classics of Public Administration, page 41, Wilson talks about how the field of administration is a field of business and should be operated by public administration professionals and not by politicians. So for me, being able to learn more about this concept has given me a different perspective and lens, like as I mentioned, to be able to analyze and identify, most importantly, the structure and formation of public administration, but also the application in the federal, state, county, city, and level governance. So this has really motivated me to become more involved and aware of today's politics, political and administrative roles in order for me to understand a little bit better governance in general. The second article that I find interesting is Frederick Winslow Taylor's scientific management theory. This is mainly because it's focusing on productivity and efficiency. So Taylor believed that there was one best way that could be found to be the most productive and efficient in everything that can be done. So in our course textbook, Classics of Public Administration, page 55, Taylor is directly stating how scientific management is the best concept and system in comparison to the initiative or incentive method. So I think that there isn't, at least in today or modern workforce, I would say that I think it's hard to believe that there's only one best way to do things. But I'm interested in exploring more this concept as we continue with the course. The third article I find interesting is The Concepts of Bureaucracy, 1922, by Max Weber. I find it fascinating because this concept was developed during a time where manual labor shifted to large-scale productivity or production during the Industrial Revolution. So although I cannot quite understand how this theory of standardization impacted the economy during the 1900s, I believe that it is truly gave the formation and structure for today's large organizations. So I have an example. Currently, I work for a large company who has many concepts, from having a well-defined organization hierarchy of command or well-structured organizational chart. The company operates under rules and regulations, and as well as policies and procedures. So I can see how the company's CEO I work for cannot manage all employees, but he's able to do this through the support of an executive team and so forth. So therefore, I believe it is a strong concept that was founded within public administration, particularly for larger organizations to operate. I think that bureaucracy promotes consistency and accountability. Accountability, not only because it's a pillar from public administration, but because it promotes equal and fair treatment. So, for example, I currently work for Inland Empire Health Plan, which is a not-for-profit organization. And so all members need to meet criteria and apply for services. All members who qualify will eventually be eligible and receive services. However, those that don't qualify for services, the services won't be rendered. But it is not a service that can be given or provided simply by knowing someone, or even if an higher up gives you an order or a command to falsify or approve an application simply just because they know them. So in our course textbook, Classics of Public Administration, page 64, Max Weber talks about how in the past one had to be loyal to their supervisor, but in today's workforce, one must be loyal to their job and public obligations. So I think this concept works today because public administrators must be cautious of things like favoritism and the notion of it is not what you know, but who you know. Um, and so, as public administrators, I believe that they have the responsibility to act on behalf of the public's best interest and not the individual's interest. And the fourth article that stood out to me is Mary Parker Follett, The Giving Orders, 1926. I wanted to include this article because I believe it is important to give credit to the fact that she was a woman writing and contributing to the formation of public administration in a different context during a time where women had recently obtained the right to vote, and a time when most contributors to the formation of public administration were men. So in our course textbook, Classics of Public Administration, page 79, Mary Parker Follett believed that Taylor's scientific management theory depersonalized the process. Mary believed that, so she introduced the concept and advocated for the integration or non-coercive power sharing. So I find this concept interesting because it made me think about my current leaders, supervisors, managers, and director. As I read through this article, I also thought about the type of leader or manager I would like to be. So I would consider myself being able to have open discussion with staff, how to improve processes through listening and considering their input, as staff are the ones who conduct the work. When I become a new employee and in a position, I make sure to understand leadership's point of view and my job functions. However, I often think about the customer too. Our members are always in my mind when it comes to focusing on delivering quality of services rather than quantity of services. So I tend to not necessarily focus on metrics, which must be met on a monthly basis. But if I was told to only focus on quantity, then I would be failing under the scientific I would be falling under the scientific management theory and not Mary Parker's Follett's theory. As I'm comparing these theories, I believe that having an understanding is important in order to be able to obtain or utilize the strengths of these theories and leave out the weaknesses of those theories to ultimately have a strong and efficient manager skill set in today's workforce. So this concludes my presentation for this week for articles that form public administration. Thank you so much.